Hey guys, what's up? Thought I'd shoot off another video. Um, whatever. I don't know whether this one's gonna be short or long or whatever, but you know me, it's probably gonna be long. Um, reason why I'm recording this one is I think, especially since I haven't, been around for a while, and also because some people, because of a video I made before, seem to be kind of confused on what guides my politics or my philosophy and things. I thought might give you guys a hint of what guides it. Now, if you guys wonder what I'm talking about as far as my last video was a short one. The one before that, I basically ramble about a couple of things, and I have to mention my thoughts on the government shutdown that had happened fairly recently, and the whole thing about the healthcare law, which has a lot of people up in a tizzy. Um, I actually record. Some people apparently had a bit of a problem with what I said on that. Which, have you guys even watched my channel? I mean, those of you who had a problem with it, like, it shouldn't be surprising. I was accused of rather stupid things, like basically reciting anything that I've watched on CNN, which I don't watch CNN. I got my news sources from a variety of different sources, and CNN, unfortunately, well, I should say, fortunately, is not one of them. But whatever. No, it's not Fox News either. That doesn't even qualify as news. I was accused of that. I had a couple of people questioning whether I was defending government or not. So I actually recorded a video about a couple of days ago, where I explained why I said the things that I said in that video. Problem was that video I recorded was over 40 minutes long. And I doubt that even you guys who have watched me all this time are willing to sit there and watch me rant for 40 minutes. Now, if you guys really don't mind seeing that, I'll put it up. But for right now, I'm just like, no, whatever. I'm going to try to find a way to condense it or whatever, or maybe not, whatever. But I at least want to get into what guides my politics a bit, which, while it won't explain exactly why I said what I said in there directly, it should give you an idea of what guides my politics, my philosophy, and so on and so forth. At least one of the things that does. And what guides it is what I know about society, or rather, why people form these things in the first place. Sometimes I wonder if people even bring that into consideration when they argue some of the things that they do, or argue some of the politics that they do, some of the political views they may have. I sometimes wonder if they even bother to think about why we even form societies or come together, in the first place. Does anybody remember why, or even ever think about why? Because when I say remember, this is assuming that they learn this in schools, and these days, especially with American education being the way it is, I'm doubting that's even being taught anymore. See, here's the thing. There are two major reasons, well, two of a few, but there's two big reasons why human beings have been able to survive for as long as they have. One is their ability to adapt. That's one of the biggest things, our ability to be able to adapt to different situations, different environments, different, events, all these, different types of things that may have happened, issues, whatever. We found ways to adapt through it. If we can't adapt, we die. And human beings as a whole are a rather adaptive species, sometimes to their detriment. The other reason is because we happen to be social creatures. We're pack animals. And it's through us banding together that we were able to survive situations that by ourselves we most likely wouldn't have been able to. If you ever bother to look at how early civilizations, or earlier, if you look at tribes or villages or smaller groups of people, when it came to, say, gathering resources, hunting, watching over one another for safety, things like that, you did a lot better when you had, numbers. You had a group of people around you doing these things than if you were by yourself. You had a much better chance of survival when you banded together. This is the reason why we form societies in the first place. The societies that human beings form was done for the sake of our own survival. It was out of our, innate ability and drive to come together in order to depend on one another for survival and for our various needs, whether they be emotional needs, physical needs, basic things like, food, shelter, safety, camaraderie, companionship. All these are things that human beings basically need and get off of one another. And they form these societies in order to be able to provide these things easier than would be in smaller numbers or just by yourself. It's a lot easier to gather food when you got a group of people doing it than if you're doing it by yourself. It's a lot easier to defend yourself when you got a bunch of people around achieving that aim. And when everything is gathered, when everything's done, everybody shares in it. That's a working society. There's really no point in forming a society if you're not benefiting from it. And there are benefits, obviously, in being in that society. I've already mentioned it. Some of these benefits, some of these primary benefits. Now, in turn, the society is dependent upon the people within it playing their part in order to keep it going. And the nature of the society itself helps to provide for the people within it. It's, a whole cyclical thing. It's basically a system that works because of the parts that create it. It's like the sum of its parts help to sustain the parts within it, and the parts themselves aren't able to continue going without making that sum, if that helps to explain what I'm trying to say here. So why do I bring that up? Well, with my understanding that people form societies for their own benefit, and in turn, the forming of that society is basically gives them and meets the needs that these people have. When you have people busting their butt for a society, and that society isn't giving them what they need, or the resources or the benefits of that society are only going toward a small group of people who happen to be dictating where the society goes, the society isn't functioning the way it should. If people are not benefiting from the work that they're putting into it, your society is broken. And that's pretty much what guides my politics. This has nothing to do with possibly reading Karl Marx or going into leftist philosophy or whatever bullshit that some people may accuse me of. Yeah, I will admit that my politics are a bit left-leaning, but I happen to see a lot of bullshit in the left as well. I don't fall for propaganda. I don't like going to extremes, and I like trying to understand what certain ideologies lead towards. And some leftist ideology doesn't really make much sense in light of evidence. Just like there's a lot of bullshit on the right, tons of bullshit on the right that doesn't make any sense either. Though there's some good stuff in there. So you find, and that's the interesting thing about, this leads back to what I say about societies. One of the cool things about human beings coming together is that people have different perspectives. We wouldn't have been able to reach the advances that we've done, gotten some of the advances that we are, taking advantage of and enjoying, if it wasn't for people of different viewpoints and different perspectives coming together to discuss what they see or what they think about a particular topic. When everybody's thinking or looking the same way, they might miss a few things that somebody else from a completely different standpoint might have caught. And when you guys come together with these different perspectives, you get a better picture of whatever it is that you guys are trying to study or talk about or think about or whatever. This leads to advances. This leads to new understanding on whatever subject it is that you're trying to understand, whether it be, some form of technology or some new way to grow food or a new understanding of ourselves and human nature and just whatever it is that you guys are trying to, advance or, gain a better understanding of. Again, this is supposed to benefit society as well as just yourself. That's the whole point of coming together. If you're doing all that work and you're not getting anything from it, what's the point? It's the same reason why I'm saying that for people who are part of a society, but they say, things like, oh, I'm on my own. I'm a rugged individualist. I'm just going to do it. I don't need anybody. Well, if you don't need anyone, then what are you doing in a society? Why are you here? You don't need anyone, so you obviously don't really need to take any type of advantage of being within that group, so leave. Of course, you can't do that. And deep down inside, you don't really want to do that because you're human. I mean, unless life has really, really fucked you over so much that your perspective is so skewed that you just F people. You know deep down inside you want that companionship. Like, I happen to be somebody who talks about the stupidity of human beings all the time, and I'm always like, freaking humans, who needs them? But even I know that in the end, there is a major benefit in coming together. I understand this, and basically it guides how I treat other people and how I go about my life. So when I happen to see or hear political or philosophical viewpoints that basically believe in not being able to share within whatever resources of the society that you're living in, when they happen to favor just a small group of people benefiting while everybody else suffers, I have to shake my head at that, because it's like, that's not naturally what we do as human beings. I mean, just think about just a small, just your basic little social group, a social circle, if you have one. You know, a group of friends who just hang out, like, say, you know, every week or every other week. You know, you come together, you hang out, maybe you play games with one another, maybe you have an RPG session, you know, your tabletop RPG session, or you play Magic the Gathering together, or have your weekday, your Wednesday board game nights, or whatever it is that you guys do. Or you maybe just simply hang out. It's Call of Duty time, or it's, you know, I don't know, it's Team Fortress 2 time. Or the people who go into fighting game tournaments, who show up every week to their arcade to hang out and play fighting games there because they don't have any other venue. They come together, they hang out, they have a mutual interest, and that mutual interest brings them together for their own particular needs in that particular area. It's like the fighting group guys. They need practice time to be able to get good to go to tournaments to win. You need human opponents. Well, here's a place for all of us to come together. They come together, and because of that, they form a society that meets their needs, and they all share in it equally because they're all getting the experience. And they put the work in it by fighting each other. And maybe it's a group of them or whatever. Hey, you guys want to pitch in for a pizza fund? By themselves, maybe they're not be able to get the pizza, but everybody chipping in a little bit, everybody eats. And friendships are made. Maybe, you know, one person's having a hard time, a couple of them, and the rest of them give them the shoulder to lean on, emotional support. Some people even found relationships this way. All these social groups, these things are being met just by the very nature of forming a society. It's what we do naturally. Societies are basically just an extension of this, you know, grouping that we do. It stands to reason that the society, no matter how complicated you may say it's going to get, and I'm not saying it's not going to get complicated, but it's still an offshoot of what we naturally do as human beings coming together. So it should, again, reward us, or, you know, it should benefit us in the same way that the smaller group does. Any small group of people basically trying to deny you that, they're kind of fucking with the game plan for their own benefit. And that's not right. It's not just simply, you know, just from a moralistic or ethical standpoint that there's a problem with this. This goes against the very basic drive that human beings have. That's my problem with a lot of right-wing thinking and a lot of political thought that I'm seeing today about basically stepping on other people, you know, and you know, existing on the backs of other people and basically making that into an economic or political philosophy. It just doesn't. To me, it works with the most base of the most selfish of your natures, and it ends up biting you in the ass in the long run, because that's not how we function. This is what guides my politics. This is why I think the way I do, say the things I do. It's from that one basic fact that we come together and form societies for a reason. It's for mutual benefit. It is not just, we do not form societies so that we can prop one or two people up so that they can live comfortably while the rest of us, you know, get screwed over and don't get to share in the resources that we help to gather or we help to build. That's bullshit. And I am really, it's starting to grind my teeth that so many people don't seem to understand this basic concept. Who knows why? Lack of education, really good indoctrination, who knows? But whatever the hell it is, it's causing us some major freaking problems. Not, it isn't just about basic survival anymore that's at stake. Now it's gotten to the point now where people are even beginning to worry about environmental impacts because of this. This has gone on long enough. I really, really wish that more and more people would just come back to the root of why do we come together in the first place? What do we form societies for? Countries, nations? Where does this come from? Us coming together. Why do we come together? Think about that. And then think about whatever freaking political or life view you happen to carry and see if that matches. If it doesn't match, you might want to rethink it. That's all I'm saying. So for those of you guys who are wondering why I think the way I do, it stems from that. It stems from other things, but that's the core concept. That's the one big thing that helps to guide my life path. Understanding what we are as human beings and why we come together. Now, who knows? Maybe my understanding of human beings might change later on with new knowledge, but at this point in time, that's what I see. That's what I hold, and therefore, that's how I will act. That will, guide my thinking processes from here on out until, who knows, maybe my thoughts will change because of, again, some new knowledge. So hopefully that'll clear certain things up. Anyway, that's that. I think I'm going to play some Fist of North Star Ken's Rage and then go to bed. Catch you guys later.